Center at Oregon High School. Katie, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Bush?
Present.
Ms. Garrison? Mr. Hensel?
Here.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Here.
Dr. Lakuta?
Here, we do have a quorum. And Katie, do you have proof of notice? Excellent. Thank you. All right, next is approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Nathan. Any second?
I second.
Thanks, Matt. Yes. Any discussion on the agenda topics? No? Okay. Katie, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hensel? Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Dr. Lakuta?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. We have an agenda. All right. Consent calendar. And let me get this. All right. The consent calendar includes the meeting minutes from, no meeting minutes. It includes approval of payments, the treasurer's report ending June 30th, and then the one ending July 31st. So 2 of them. And then donations, which there was one anonymous donation of approximately $300 that was for paint, vinyl, and framed poster decor for OMS student bathrooms. So we very much appreciate all donations that come into the district. And all right, so that's it for the consent calendar for tonight. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Second? Thank you. Katie, would you call the roll?
Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel? Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Dr. Lakuta?
Yes. Motion approved, 4-0. All right. And next item is information items, and that I'm going to turn over to Dr. Anderson.
Excellent. Well, good evening. We have a couple of student highlights for tonight. And the first one just happened this weekend. A huge shout out to 2 of our high school students, Olivia and Clara, who gave up some time this past weekend to give tours to the Oregon High School class of 1976, had their 50th anniversary, and the building has changed quite a bit since then. And so they went on a couple tours, showed the alum all the different spaces, and I think it was a really positive experience for both our class reunion participants as well as our students, hearing about each other's experiences. So thank you to those student leaders. And then on Friday morning, Channel 27 was here to do Wake Up Wisconsin. It was a super fun morning, but we want to highlight our mascot, Victor E. Panther. Get it? And this mascot is a surprise. They go incognito, so I cannot tell you who is in the outfit, but you know who you are. Did an amazing job and brought a really positive energy to that event, and the anchors were awesome. It was a really positive, fun morning for all involved. And that is it for student updates tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. All right, next is public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Anybody here for public comment? No one signed up. Okay, all right, great. Then next on the agenda is OEA report. Anyone here for OEA report? No? Okay. Let's move on to action items, and the first is the sale of the 3016 County Highway MM property. Andy?
You bet. So about 6 years or so ago, the district entertained a piece of property that's contingent next to the school woods that we have behind Forest Edge Elementary School. The main concern at the time was access to that property. It also had a home on it that's very unique, and that home has continued to kind of become a little bit more in disrepair. We had hoped to be able to perhaps raise some money and use it for something, but as the district did some investigation into eco centers out in other places in the state, what we found was really the main portion or the most highest priority out there is really for bathrooms. Little kids need bathrooms as soon as they get off the bus, and this facility really wasn't going to be helpful in that regard. It had multiple levels. It was kind of an oddly shaped building, very unique, very creative, and I'm told probably was in magazines actually in the Madison area in the 1970s. Well, the other thing that they told us when we talked to the people at these ecological centers throughout let's call it the middle of the state, is that really we don't want indoor spaces. We want outdoor spaces because the whole idea of getting into the woods is to make sure that you engage in the outdoor activities. So maybe a shelter, but not an indoor space. And then we started looking at what it would take to make the property accessible as well as meet codes for a governmental type building, and the costs started really escalating. So for quite some time now, we've tried to figure out how we can meet the need for access to the building, to the woods that are next to the building, but also let somebody actually who has some desire to rehab the building and bring it back to its luster in a residential kind of capacity. So we actually did put advertisements out in the State Journal and got a couple responses. One actually put an offer in, and they intend to basically rehab the house and then sell it on the market. That's important. We couldn't really list the property because it doesn't have a working well currently, which is a limitation to selling properties. So basically what we have today in front of you is the asking for the authority to sell the property. We do have an agreement with the prospective buyer who would be willing to make sure that they're okay with having an easement on the property, so we would still have access to the woods. So we get the access that we have always wanted, but then we also get the funds related to the house, and then the hope would be that we could utilize those funds to actually improve the forest. There is quite a bit of need in there. There's a lot of invasives there. We've been taking little chunks of it and kind of rehabbing it, but there's 22 acres, and so there's quite a bit of land left that we would need to access and improve, and this would be an infusion of money to be able to accomplish that. What questions do you have for me tonight?
Andy, I see in the note you have that the property was originally purchased for $335,000 with one buyer. Can you share how much you've agreed upon to sell the property for?
I think we have a counteroffer that's agreed upon. There was a little issue that came up about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock today, but I think we've worked through that. We're at 308.
And do you know, just based on like an assessment or appraisal, whether that's a fair price, I'm assuming?
So we do have an appraisal that's a couple years old. I would argue that the comparables were not comparable. There are a number of walls that are torn apart right now. There is no flooring in a good part of the house. It's not really livable. There are spaces between the flooring and the walls where animals get into the building. So we're a little bit lower than what the appraisal, which was 370.
So we're selling it then at a loss as well. Okay, all right, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
So it sounds like the plan for this money is to go back into the woods space itself. Like, is this gonna like have a specific account, or like basically I want to make sure that or not make sure, but like I'm curious what we're doing to get those improvements, or is this just kind of go into that general like facility fund?
Yeah, I mean, the money could be assigned for that purpose, if the board wanted to, or my successor works with you guys to do that. That would, basically make sure the funds are used in that way. I would say maybe a fresh look needs to happen as to the partners that we have related to that, simply because in order to do 22 acres is a little bit more than a couple acres a year. And so it might be good to, and I have a company or two that you guys could look at that you might want to take proposals from to see what could happen a little bit quicker than the way we've been doing it so far.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yep.
I do have a question or two. So I know we've talked about, there's a concrete pad right along MM that we've talked about kind of using as a staging area.
It's actually behind Forest Edge. It's an old barn that was part of the Worth farm. And absolutely, that would be one of the things. In fact, I was talking to Mr. Heitz about that this afternoon. Both, the infusion of cash to help the woods, but also to perhaps build a shelter.
Right.
And maybe even put some porta potty in that shelter or something of that nature. The city has restrictions on what the property can be used for, but because there's already a cement foundation there, we can build upon that, is what they've told us in the past. But we wouldn't be able to build another structure in that area.
But the 1.66 5 acres does not touch that.
It does not touch the foundation that the farmhouse was on. No, that is actually in the prairie, which is right behind Forest Edge Elementary School.
And does this acreage that we're talking about impact our ability to access it from MM?
Yes, I mean that's the main purpose of why we purchased the facility in the first place, is so that we'd have access to MM. But if you envision the school woods as a long L, the school is on one side of the L, and on the other side is this property, so it's quite a distance away.
Okay.
We have talked about the easement having the ability to perhaps put porta potties on it from that side as well, just so that there's something on both sides that if students need to go to the restroom, they have that ability. We, I think, agreed also to, I'm working on the easement next, the rest of this week, to shield the porta potties so that, people aren't looking out their kitchen window or something and seeing that. But I think that's something that would make some sense.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Okay.
No.
Like I'm disconnected. Nobody wants to hear me talk. Can't blame them. We talked about this a lot, and I remember one of the issues with trying to keep access off of to MM is so that we could use part of the land along MM as a place for school buses to access the woods. Is that still in the plan, or did we lose that in the how the land was divided and sold?
We will have an easement that would allow us to use the driveway, and so if the buses probably couldn't drive into the property without a significant investment, but they could unload there. The only thing that we have to be very cautious of is it is a little bit of a curvature to Highway MM right there, so that's something we'd want to obviously make sure there's good visibility and that type of thing. But if the bus is facing north, it'd be a safe exit onto the driveway, and then they'd be able to hike into the facility from there. So rather than, at one point we were talking, could we get a carve out? Could we actually drive up in there? But I think it'd just be so cost prohibitive to do those two things. It'll also be interesting to see what happens across the street. There is a development. This is the third time in my tenure here in Oregon that there's been a proposed development across the street, but the city of Fitchburg seems to think that this one might actually come to fruition, and they were talking about perhaps having the developer move dirt in October. So if that happens, this area is going to kind of develop a little bit, at least on the other side of the street, but not on our side.
This is not really, I'm just curious, given the current state of the building that we're selling, the buyers is the building in salvageable condition, or is that their plan?
Yes. So the building's interesting in that it's steel construction, steel and concrete, spancrete construction. So even if you took all the walls down, kind of inside of it, as long as the steel substructure stays, it should be fine, as long as the steel's in good shape. And the buyer's been through the house multiple times, both with me as well as the realtor, the buyer's agent. So I think they realize the condition it is, and they're going to have to put a significant investment into it, both to fix the driveway, which is crumbling. It needs a brand new roof. There is city water available at the road, so I think what they'll do is not connect or try to fix the well at this point. They'll just connect to city water. So they're well aware of all the components to that. The issue that we had today was there was some mix-up at the city of Fitchburg, whether what's called a deferred assessment. When you bring in utilities into an area in the city of Fitchburg, there's kind of two assessments that are made related to those utilities that are brought in. One we've been paying on for a couple years. It's a smaller amount. It was like $7,000, I think. There's a $20,000 assessment that would be incurred if somebody to redevelop the property. And we had one department we'd been talking to that said, well, you're not redeveloping the property by selling it. And then we had another department today that came up and said, well, by selling it, you're redeveloping the property. So we got through that today, and we have that in writing from the city of Fitchburg, so that everybody's on the same page, and the buyer knows that as well.
I mean, this is the last thing I'll say. I wanted to ask that question because one of the things that we talked a lot about was owning that property. You know, there were plans, right, to try to do something with it, but the fact of the matter is that the amount of money that we're talking about, the potential buyers are going to invest in the property would make it pretty much prohibitive for us as a school district to try to do anything with the building, especially because we had even grander plans in terms of making it more of like a education center. And it's just, I know it never feels good to sell something at a loss, but at this point in time, I mean, I think it's the right decision if we have a buyer, because there's really nothing we can do with that property in its current state.
Well, and I would reframe it a little bit in my head, or I have reframed it in my head, that we are getting this easement. So we are getting the need that we had when we identified the property as something that we wanted to purchase. There's a value to that, in my opinion. So we are getting something for that. Are we getting everything we wanted? No. We learned some lessons kind of along the way.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Andy said. I think there is value in having, even if it's just emergency easement access through that property for the forest. I think that's valuable given how far away from forest edge that end of the school forest is. And I'm just happy that Andy worked through this process because I don't see a way that it's going to be feasible that the district with limited resources could turn it into what it was first envisioned as. And so the fact that we have a potential buyer and that it's something that we can get cleared off of the books, but still retain the easement, I think it's in the district's best interest to do so.
And just to put a distance to that, it's about 0.4 of a mile from the school all the way to the end. So then to retrack all the way back to the school at that point could potentially be a problem.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a very unique building, and I think, it would be nice to see someone turn it into something useful. It would have been nice if it had been an environmental center, but yeah, obviously a lot of work went into deciding that it was not feasible.
We've spent several years
Yeah.
trying to think about how to do this, and I think this is probably our best situation, our best recourse at this point.
Yeah. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve item C1. Thanks, Caleb. And is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any additional discussion? Katie, would you call the roll?
Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Dr. Lakuda?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. All righty. Moving on to item C2, approval for the sale of 337 Cassander Way.
I
Andy?
promise this is going to be much simpler sale. So a number of years ago, actually for over 20 years, myself and a high school teacher worked to purchase land, and then we actually built homes on that land. Most recently, Chris Prowell's been doing it for probably 12, 14 years, something like that. And we've been a good partnership, but it's a lot of extra time on both of our parts in order to make that all happen. Showing homes, all that kind of stuff. My mother's actually a realtor. I never wanted to go into that business, but it was fun while it lasted. So we kind of got out of that business when the pandemic came around, simply because that created some, there was an opportunity that presented itself, and that's working with a builder, a local builder, who was willing to kind of take on the risks associated with basically developing or building a home and then selling it. So at this point in time, or a number of years ago, we actually had purchased 3 lots. We developed those 2, and then the pandemic came, and the third one has just been, it's kind of sitting there. It's good news is we strongly believe that it's appreciated in value a fair amount. There are not many developable lands, lots in the Village of Oregon currently, and so we think we'd get a nice price on that. I've had a real estate agent look at it and give us kind of an eyeball of what he thought it could be worth. We purchased it for just over $100,000, and we think it could sell for somewhere in the $160,000 range. So it's not been a huge hindrance on us, but we do have to clear the sidewalks, mow it occasionally, those types of things. And so we think at this point in time, it's probably a good idea to move on. We feel like we have a good partner in place for the foreseeable future with the builder. And so at this point in time, we'd recommend going ahead and selling the property. We do not have any particular ideas of what to do with the proceeds, although I will say that the $100,000 that we purchased the property is actually sitting in our fund balance. Even though it's not cash, it is part of our fund balance. So really it's the extra amount of money that we would gain from the sale that could be utilized in any fashion that the board asked for it to be used. Although you've heard me say this over and over again over the years, use it in a one-time type situation, because unfortunately you only have it for one time. So do not use it for ongoing purposes, would be my recommendation. We've been in the property business for a while, actually. We're now getting out of the property business as much as we can.
Andy, I have a question. Since we have a partnership with Tim O'Brien Homes, which I think the opportunities that the partnership and prior to that this program actually affords our students is spectacular.
Yeah, I think the benefits that we got prior to Tim O'Brien and being involved are very comparable to the benefits that we have with Tim O'Brien, with a lot less stress and a lot less extra effort. They bring something to the table that really improves the program necessary and takes that load off of Chris as well as the business office.
So just from a logistical perspective, is there any reason that we can't bring this plot of land to that partnership?
No. We hadn't thought of that, but that's that's a consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would, from a monetary perspective, how it would balance out if it were a neat sale.
Yeah, I think it probably makes some sense to talk to them and see what they value the property at.
Right.
I think a piece of property that that's available in the Village of Oregon at this point in time that's not connected to a builder might have a little bit higher value.
Yeah.
Simply because then the owner can bring whoever they want.
Sure.
But it's still worth talking to them about it.
Okay. All right. That was my only question. Yeah, that's, all right. Go ahead, Nathan.
Who's your listing agent?
Remax. We've been using them for a number of years. They have offered us from a buyer's perspective, they've offered us a different percentage than is typically offered.
That was going to be my next question. Okay, thank you. And not your mom, right?
I'm sorry.
Not your mom, right?
No, it's
Awesome. Good point of clarification. Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve item C2, approval for the sale of 337 Cassandra Way.
I'll make a motion.
Sounds good. Is there a second? Thank you. Any additional discussion? All right, Katie, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel? Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Dr. Lakuda?
Yes. Yes, motion passes 4-0. And let's see, next up on the agenda is the approval of the 2026 annual meeting agenda. And the annual meeting is scheduled for September 28th, Monday at 6:30 in the High School Innovation Center here. And the agenda was posted?
No, it
In the- yeah, it posted in the board packet, sorry. So anybody have any discussion on that agenda? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve the agenda for the annual meeting.
All right, any second? Perfect. Any discussion around that? Okay, Katie, would you call the roll?
Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes, and so the annual meeting agenda passes 4-0. And the last action item is around the 2026-2027 transportation contracts, and I will hand that over to Andy.
Thank you. So each summer we try to we've talked to our transportation partners. We have a very unusual situation here in Oregon where we have multiple independent contractors. I think we're at 10 right now. And so we kind of sit down with them and negotiate where we should be. We have typically used the same dollar amount that we've used with our employees. I would say that we don't pay these folks health insurance or any of those extra costs that are kind of on top of that. So we did go a little bit above the 263 that we've used with our employees. So we're at about a 3.1 based on some of the components of the offers that the transportation carriers asked for. I would say that they were considerably above that on their initial ask, but we were able to work them down to that 3% number. Keep in mind that fuel costs are kind of outside of that 3%, since it's not something that they cannot control. And unfortunately, the geopolitical issues that are going on right now are increasing those costs fairly significantly. So we basically look at the cost of fuel at the Quick Trip the first day of the month, and we record that price, and then basically that indexes the cost per mile that they have within the contract. But we were able to fairly quickly come to an agreement on this proposal. And I know that the Board of Education has always wanted to have that in place before the start of the school year. So we're a little bit closer than I would like to be, but here we are today to look at that. So if there's any questions about the proposals, there is a red line version as well as a straight line version, I guess you would say, in the agenda item, and then there is also the contract, which legal counsel has proposed. I don't know that there were any modifications on that, maybe a couple slight ones, but that's what I know at this point in time.
I did actually have one question on the contract. Is it looked like we completely removed like an ability to cancel the contract with one of the independent contractors out of?
We actually moved that clause from the conditions of pay into the contract.
Okay.
That was, Ms. Jonan and I talked about that last week, kind of late, and she's like, I don't want language in both places, because then if the language would conflict or if there would be a different interpretation, that could be problematic.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. The one question I have, Andy, so I know, as you mentioned, we typically target an increase that's in line with what we use for our educators. And I know this is a little bit higher, and gas prices are not included in there. Can you explain to me that rationale?
Sure. I would make differentiation on two issues. Now, with all our employee contracts, I believe, except perhaps administrative, there is a step that happens than years of experience. That doesn't exist and that adds, depending on the contract, the teacher's contract, I think it's 1% or darn close to that, maybe 0.9, something of that nature, depending on the year and where people are. But so there's a difference there, as well as, like I mentioned before, the health insurance can have a significant impact to the total package. And obviously our transportation carriers, we don't provide them health insurance. They have to go and fend for themselves in that regard. So yes, it's a little bit above the salary component, but if you were to look at a total package, it's in line, if not maybe a little bit lower than our employee groups.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for item C4, approval of the 2026-2027 transportation contracts. All right. Any additional discussion? Katie, would you call the roll, please?
Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Dr. Lakuda?
Yes. Motion approves 4-0. We have transportation contracts. All right. And with that, we will move on to item D, discussion items and committee reports. Vision Steering Committee, would you mind giving us a report?
Sure, happy to. Nothing substantial to report from our last meeting, other than we did some planning for the calendar year ahead and some key topics. And then our next meeting will be at 6:30 p.m. on September 21st.
And as we don't have the policy chair and we don't have Gina, do you have an update? You have an update? Okay.
We met on August 10th. I don't think we had anything action-wise that we were bringing to the board, as far as I can remember. I'm not the chair, so I can't remember for sure. But we met on August 10th, and then our next meeting is scheduled for September 21st at 5:30, prior to the Visioning Committee meeting, 5:30 to 6:30 in the district office or district meeting room.
Thank you, Caleb. All right, and next on to E, information items. Tonight we don't have vision and strategic planning, teaching and learning, federal and state legislative updates. But we do have our superintendent's report. Dr. Anderson.
All right. So first and most importantly, best day of the year, school starts September 1st, and all students or families must complete online registration. That opened up a couple weeks ago. And a reminder for parents to activate your new Parent Square accounts. We have sent information out about that. But don't worry if you haven't had a chance. We will be on the lookout for another invitation tomorrow. All right, next we would like to welcome Officer Wissink. We recently sent out communication to families that we'll be welcoming a school security officer to the Oregon School District while we continue to work with the Oregon Police Department on our SRO agreement. I want to reiterate to families in the community that we are committed to coming up with an agreement for the SRO. Our current agreement, that's in place until August 31st, was created in partnership with significant community engagement, and we will be working in good faith with the Oregon Police Department to finalize those details. In the interim, I'd like to introduce you to Officer Wissink. He has spent 28 years in law enforcement, most recently with our neighbors in the Fitchburg Police Department, serving as both a police officer and a detective. And he has extensive background in investigations, security training, and peer support. He earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. Following his law enforcement career, Jeff continues to work in the safety and security field as a private investigator and security executive protection professional with Butler Investigations. But his experience extends beyond traditional law enforcement and security. He's also an instructor for the State of Wisconsin Department of Justice for peer support and peer mental health courses for first responders. That was something that we thought was really exciting to have that strong mental health background. This work reflects an important part of Jeff's approach to school safety. Strong partnerships, communication, preparedness, and care for the people within the community are all essential to creating a safe environment. So as a school security officer, Jeff will work alongside community administrators and staff to help maintain safe, welcoming, and supportive learning environments for every student. His role includes being visible and an approachable presence in our schools, supporting safety and preparedness efforts, and building positive relationships throughout our school community. So please join us in welcoming Officer Jeff Wissink. We are sharing with this information with you tonight, and we will be in the process of sending communication out to our families and staff in the next probably 24 hours or so. This week is a week that is so exciting because we welcome our new educators. Last week, they all came for our new educator orientation. We had over 30 new staff members join us, and their energy was so exciting. We started interviewing in March and finished up in July, and we have hired an amazing team of teachers, and we're so excited to see the work that they're going to do with our students. Preparations have been underway all summer, but today was the day that we welcomed staff back, so everyone was coming back today, and they're hitting the ground running. Here are just a few behind-the-scenes shots of clean floors and awesome bulletin boards and materials and supplies getting ready for the first day of school. Earlier, I highlighted Panther E-Victory in action, but our spotlight with Channel 27 on Friday morning was a really great highlight for our school district and our community. They were here for production for 2.5 hours. Yes, it was dark when we started. It was very early, but it was filmed right on the Panther Stadium field. During the feature, we heard from our head football coach, Matt Weber, longtime groundskeeper, Ron Novinska, of course, our mascot, and even I had a couple minutes to do an interview with Dana as well. We also had segments from some of our local coffee shops. There was a scavenger hunt for all the amazing sculptures in the Oregon community, and also highlighted a really cool garden that I didn't even know about at the Oregon Historical Society. So that was pretty cool. And the weather was perfect. Not later in the day, but it was perfect at the time. We wanted to highlight one of the segments from the production on Friday morning, and this one is really special because it features Ron, and he keeps our athletic fields in tip-top shape. They are very impressive, and a lot of times I think it's just important to recognize a lot of the behind-the-scene things that take place to make our students have really positive experiences. So we hope you will enjoy this clip.
Decades now, there's been one man who is responsible for the field that we are on right now.
Painting, maintaining, fixing, all of it. Ron Novenska actually wrote the playbook on how to maintain these fields as the only groundskeeper in Oregon School District's history. I had a chance to meet Ron as he gets ready for his final season.
I like things looking good.
Take a drive by Oregon and you'll see Ron Novenska's work.
Most of our fields are along Highway 14, so you get a lot of traffic.
Ron is the quiet force behind the Panthers' home turf. For him, the fields are the district's front lawn.
If the field looks good, the surrounding buildings look good, it's a good reputation on Oregon, the staff, everybody, the community, all together. So I just do it for that.
That Panther pride means his schedule rarely stops. From early mornings to bonus weekend drop-ins, Ron's dedication is a work of heart.
Lay awake at nights trying to think, what design do I do for painting? The O is all on measurements, so I string it out. Most of them are logos that I either make myself or have made.
The extra effort pays off in ways you can't always precisely measure.
It kind of helps the kids because they're excited to be on a nice field and play. So if the field looks good, they have some energy, maybe they'll play good and win the game, right? So it's a whole circle to me.
It's a full circle that Ron's run for 2 decades. And this season, he's closing it. One last chance to make sure every Panther gets the varsity treatment.
Ron actually has an extra piece of advice for the football players tonight. Take a listen.
I hear the coaches with the freshmen saying, take it in because these 4 years go fast, and it has. The 30 years I've been here, 20 doing ground, I'm like, where did the time go? So enjoy every moment, give it your all, and go Panthers.
That was such a nice feature and a nice tribute to a really important member of our school community. So as Katie switches over, there we go. Speaking of enjoying every minute, it was appropriate then that Friday night we hosted our first home football game of the season on the beautiful, well-kept field. There was a little bit of lightning, so we had a weather delay that prolonged the fun a little bit longer, but it was a huge victory over Stoughton and just a wonderful night to see our kids and our community members coming together. And then highlighted that this last time, but get ready, season 5 of Inside the OSD podcast is coming up soon. So excited to continue the tradition started by Dr. Bergstrom, highlighting some of the really wonderful things happening in our district. Our next meeting will be September 14th. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Dr. Lukuda.
Thank you very much. All right, next is closing, and I will entertain remarks. Would you like to start?
Very happy to. If I'm not mistaken, Andy, I think this is your last meeting. Is that right?
I think you're right.
Okay. Well, just, certainly on behalf of the board and the entire community, just really appreciate your leadership and your management of some very complex financial and administrative and operational duties that have really supported this district and made it as great as it is. Thank you for your years of service and your commitment to the district, to the students and the community, and know that you'll be missed, but your legacy will live on, and certainly that we will all be benefiting from your years of strong leadership and financial management for our district. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just echo what Ron said because he said it so well. The the years have just gone by so quickly, and there's definitely been challenges, but a lot of accomplishments over the years, and you get stronger with each challenge that you've had, and I've appreciated that. I've appreciated working with the people, and I've really enjoyed doing something for the kids. That's been a big thing. There's always been a good moral purpose for the work that we've done, and being able to contribute that back to the kids is always a very meaningful thing. So, thank you for the support over the years, both from the Board of Education. Shannon called me when I was heading to lunch today, and the first board president, who I still have a relationship with, who hired me, had come to the office to wish me a happy retirement. That means a lot for those people to continue to remember you. Everything that all the energy that you've put into this place. So, I think you're in good hands, and I'm looking forward to watching from afar on Monday nights. Maybe not during the board meeting time, but I'll keep tabs on everything, and please feel free to reach out if you ever need anything.
Matt, anything for closing?
I was going to say, Andy, I have talked to you on all the business operations of the district, and hearing you present on what's going on and our options, and just your ability to break down complex topics kind of exemplifies your knowledge and your understanding of it. And as someone who's learning how the financial side of the district works, it's definitely jump-started my ability to come to grasp and understand what we're looking at. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you just really enjoy your time away from the district.
So one thing that we know is something that all, I think, school districts and public education really is facing in our state and really across the country is there are lots of significant financial challenges in public education these days. But one thing that we've talked a lot about, and I've been on the board now over 3 years, and one thing that we've come back to again and again is the fact that we are, while we have financial challenges as a district, we are in very good, I think very good financial shape. Again, we have challenges that I don't want to make it sound like everything's hunky-dory. It's not, but especially in comparison to a lot of other districts, even in our area, we are in much better financial shape. And I think a big part of that is the stewardship that you have provided us as a district. I mean, your leadership and guidance has really been critical in ensuring that we are in the best position possible, given the limitations that we face in public education, that we're in the best position possible as a district. And I think, when you combine that with strong community support for our schools, it's enabled us to weather challenges that other districts have struggled with to a greater degree. And again, I don't want to make it sound like everything's, rosy, because we could certainly, there's lots of need, and that I think the need's going to continue. But your leadership, your financial leadership and just foresight has really been critical. And as you retire, I will just say that I hope this gives you the opportunity to get out on your bike more. Maybe I'll see you out on the road a little bit more now that you're going to have hopefully some more free time. Nice.
So I just asked Dr. Lakuta if I could say something, because Andy, you've been my next door neighbor and office mate for the past 14 years, and I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you have done. Dr. Anderson mentioned about Ron Novinska, and that, it's nice to see behind the scenes, and I feel like I've had a front door seat to how much you work behind the scenes, and I know the nights and weekends that you've missed from your family and have treated this like your second home. And I have seen you, come in at 4 a.m. for the ice storm and figuring out what we're going to do with buses. Is it safe to go out or not? To, midnight board meetings that we had when I started, to the 2 a.m. main break or fire alarm or what's happening around the district. And just the care that you have taken with our district has just been unmatched. And so I want to say thank you for all the work you put in when I started. I appreciate you challenging me, making me better, making all of us better. Your expertise around the state and financial management, you're truly one of a kind. And I have appreciated seeing you mentor new business managers along the way, and taking care of that next generation. And so I just wanted to say thank you, because I think sometimes people don't know the hours that are involved in being a business manager and all the different hats that you have to wear. So I just want to say thank you and enjoy, because you've earned it.
Well, if non-board members get to talk, I'm jumping onto that bandwagon. I've worked with you for 17 years, Andy, and I started as the district as a brand new administrator. And on that whole journey, you have done a wonderful job, I think, of not only leaving the district in a really great financial place, but you also have trained in a lot of building administrators and trying to be really strategic and aligning resources with what's best for kids and being really thoughtful. I had there's a picture of us with our hard hats on. I had the opportunity when I was a middle school principal to do a referendum project with you and learning through that process and the design. And I also think about how you really helped to shape the culture of our district with sustainability and energy, and we know that's one of your passions. That legacy is really seen in Forest Edge, but you are physically leaving an impact on our district too. And I'm just so grateful for all the years that we worked together and everything I learned and everything that I've heard at the table too. You're leaving Nick with really big shoes to fill. And we are so grateful for all that you have done, and I know you're going to enjoy spending more time as a grandpa. Thank you.
All right. So, Andy, as some of these pictures can attest to, you started in 1999, so you've been with the district for 27 years, and really shared your expertise across that entire duration. I mean, you have been an advocate and a leader in sustainability, and as a result, the school district has really benefited in so many different ways. As a result of your focus on sustainability, you received the 2025 Administrator of the Year Award from the Wisconsin Association for Environmental Education. And you were invited to and got to attend the White House Summit for Sustainable and Healthy K-12 Schools and Grounds, and represented the Oregon School District there, which, yeah, that was very cool. As a business official, so I mean that's sustainability, but you have been part of 7 different referendums with an 86% pass rate.
That one got away.
But that's a pretty good pass rate. And you were awarded the 2024 Mike Roshar Shining Star Award from the Wisconsin Association of the School Business Officials. Sorry. And you've been a Rotarian for a long time, which really speaks to your dedication to the community, to service, right? Which is one of the things that, as a board member, is very apparent and very much appreciated. Because of your service to the district as well. And personally, since I served as treasurer on the board for several years, I really appreciate your ability to break down the complex budget of a school district and kind of compartmentalize each of the different funds and how they interact or they can't interact with one another. I've truly appreciated all of the one-on-ones. Now, don't forget. So, and you always, were very patient in explaining and re-explaining all of those to me. So I very much appreciate that. And I hope that you very much enjoy your retirement and all of your family time and travel. So thank you. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Okay. So next is the work session. I will entertain a motion to, I don't need to entertain a motion? All right, we're just gonna do a recess and move into the work session regarding the budget. All right, thank you. 5-minute recess, please. The Andy Show continues.